So hi there, I'm going to show you how to make this granny stripe skirt, okay? So what you're going to need is you're going to need some worsted weight, that's a 4-weight worsted weight yarn, or in England I think they call it Aran. If you don't know, if you're living in a country other than the United States or Canada that uses this worsted weight number 4, just go onto the computer and Google comparables to worsted weight for yarn, and it'll give you what that you need in Australia and all these other countries that use different terminology, because not everybody's like that. Okay, we don't all have the same names for everything. So you need lots of that in lots of colors, whatever colors you've got left in your stash. I've got lots of bits and pieces. I've got some little balls rolled up, so you can use this as a stash buster, or you can go out and buy colors special for your granny stripe skirt. You're going to need a 5mm H hook, okay? And I'm starting to just go by the millimeters because sometimes hooks have different sizes. Like I just discovered the J hook comes as 5.75 or 6. So as long as when you make it up, it comes to your gauge swatch, that's okay. But this one's a very forgiving pattern, okay? So you need a yarn needle to sew in all your ends. I do give you a little tip in this, for what some people do to avoid having to weave in ends, but it's up to you how you do it, because crochet is a very individual craft. Okay, so go gather together lots of different colors, and I start out with black, but you can start out with white, whatever color you want your belt to be. It's up to you. And we're going to have fun making this granny stripe skirt. Okay. Right, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be not giving you specific amounts to chain, because I think it's best if you just chain something that's long enough to go around your hips so that you can get it on and off, okay? And I'm going to, just for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to be doing the extra small size that I have on my pattern, which isn't published yet, but I think we can go ahead and do this tutorial because you just really need to chain long enough to go around your hips. All right, so I'm going to be chaining 105 for the extra small. And you start out with a slip knot, and then 1, 2, wrap your yarn around, pull it through to chain 3, 4, 5. I do have a tutorial if you're brand new to crocheting. Episode 1 of How to Crochet shows you how to make a slip knot, shows you how to chain, and it's a good idea to be familiar with that, and also with how to make a double crochet. And I do have a tutorial for how to make a double crochet. So anyway, I've done 5. I'm going to go away and continue chaining until I get 105, okay? Okay, I've done my chain of 105, and I just want to mention that you do want to make sure that it is a multiple of 3, okay? Now what I've got is, for the extra small, I've got 105 chain, for the small 109, for medium 113, for large 117, and for extra large 125, and then for the, let me just check and make sure, yeah, for the 2, 3X, we're going to be doing 131, and for the 4, 5X, 135 chains. So those are the ones I've come up with for my pattern, but really you should personalize it to yourself, seeing as we're doing it in the video here, and you can just make it big enough to go around your hips. If you want it a bit roomy, like gathered and sort of a little bit more roomy, then, but there is a lot of give, and things do grow as you work down with your granny stitch. Okay, so I've got my 105 here, and then you have however many you have, and what you have to do then, I'm going to take my hook out for a minute, is just, because this is black, I always suggest working on a white surface. So if you've got a white sheet of paper from your printer or something white, just go down, make sure all the V's are up, that you're not twisting it at all. Make sure all the V's, because we do not want this twisted, okay? You see how I'm turning it to make sure all the V's are up at the top, because we're going to join it with a slip stitch. So there we go. That's the end. So we're going to go into that one, yarn over, getting a bit complicated here. There we go. I shouldn't have taken it out. Don't take your hook out of its loop. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to chain up 2, and we are going to double crochet into the first chain and into every chain around. So I'll see you when I get to the end. Okay. Double crochet. Yarn over into the chain and double crochet all the way around. Okay. So here we are. I'm in my last chain. Double crochet in there, and then I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the very first one. Don't worry, we're not working in black for long here. So now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to go around and we're going to double crochet into each of our stitches. And make sure at the end that you have got a number that's divisible by 3. This is the one that's 105, and I gave you all the other numbers. I'm going to write them in the description box below for all the different sizes, the recommended chaining, but you can just chain until it fits around your hips if you're comfortable doing that, as long as you have a multiple of 3. And we're going to double crochet into each stitch around. This is going to be the belt area. Okay, so off you go and do that, and I'll meet you at the end. And here we are at the end of the second row of black double crochets. And like I said, always put something white behind your black when you're crocheting, and you can see the holes. Otherwise it's really hard to see, but you see how just sitting it down over top of this light, you can see where you're actually working. So we're going to cut this one off. I'm going to leave a bit of room, and then we're just going to fasten that off. And now we're going to attach the gray. I'm going with gray because that's the original pattern that I did, but you can put any color that you want to. Okay, so I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to bring in the gray to the first stitch there. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 2. Now the thing about doing granny stripes and changing colors every couple of rows is a lot of people get fed up with weaving in the ends, and there's lots of different ways that people like to do this without weaving in the ends, but I'm just going to do it the regular way, and you'll have to weave in the ends at the end. Okay, I've chained 2, and now into this same stitch I'm going to do 2 more double crochets to the same stitch. Oops, sorry. Here we go. So the chain 2 acts as the first one, and then we've got a second one and a third one, and we're going to be making these 3 double crochet clusters as we go around. So we've got our first cluster of 3. Now we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and we're going to make 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, and into the same stitch 3. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches. I'm going to hold it like this so you can see. So we're going to skip that one, and we're going to skip that one, and into this one we're going to make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to skip 2. Skip this one, and into the third one we're going to be doing 3 double crochets. This is what it looks like. 3 double crochets, skip 2, 3 double crochets into the same stitch, skip 2, 3 double crochets into the same stitch. And we're going to do this all the way around. We're going to skip this one and skip that one and go into the next one and do 3 double crochets. These are called a cluster. Okay, So do that all the way around. So now we're at the end, and we're just going to slip stitch into the top of the first chain 2 that you made, and we have done our first round of clusters. Now I did 2 of one, and then sometimes I do 1 row of a color, and sometimes I do 2 rows of a color and alternate. But really it's up to you once you understand how to get up a row. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up a row, right? So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to make 2 double crochet into the same space there. 1 and 2. And there we have the equivalent of 3 double crochets. We chain 3 and then we've done 2 double crochets. Now, sometimes people chain 1 in between the clusters. I don't do that. I just go straight into the next space and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then we go into the next space. 1, 2, 3. And into each of these spaces, little windows that we have, we're going to do 3 double crochets. Okay, and then we'll be changing color at the next round. Okay, so here we are at the end of the second row of the cluster stitches. I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 at the beginning of that row, and actually I'm going to show you a way to do this where we do the color change. This is for the color change. So I'm going to put it into the top of the chain 3. I'm going to get my new color, which I'm going to keep the same as my original skirt, and I'm just going to pull it through. You can make a slip knot if you want, but I'm just going to pull this through. You could actually, some people, there's so many different techniques that so many different people use. Some people like to tie a knot where they change it and work the yarn in at the back as they go. So what I'll do is I'll cut off the gray, and we'll try that this time around. So we've got the 2 loose ends, and we can just tie a little knot so that that doesn't kind of unravel. And if you choose to work the 2 yarns at the back and cut it. I tried this and it doesn't really work for me because I don't like the way the threads run through, but anyway, I'll show you that technique and you can choose to use it or not. So now we've slip stitched through with the new yarn, and I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go into the same space, and I'm going to do 2 double crochets. 1, and I'm going around both of the tails. I've got both tails held here, and I'm going around both tails. So that's 2. So we've got the chain 3 and 2 double crochets, and we're starting our new row. Now what people do sometimes to try to avoid weaving in the ends is that they'll carry those 2 along behind, and when we do our cluster of chain 3 double crochets in here, we're including those 2 tails. And then when you've worked down, let's do 3 more, double crochet into the next cluster, you can then trim off those 2 tails, and that saves you weaving them in. Now knotting them where we did the join will secure them even further, right? But I don't particularly like that, especially when we're doing these double crochet clusters like this. I'm happy, you see, for me weaving in ends is quite a meditative thing, but some people it drives them nuts. So if you're one of those people and you want to carry the tails behind, just make sure to knot them when you first join them so that they don't come unraveled on you. So we're going to work around here, come to the end, slip stitch, into the top of there. Now if you're changing color, please use your new color to complete your slip stitch, okay? And that's kind of how we progress. We just keep going. 3 double crochet clusters into each space, come to the end, join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, chain 3, and into that same space, do 2 more double crochets and carry on. Okay, so go back in the video if you need a refresher on how to do that. But we're going to carry on changing colors. This one I'm just going to do 1 row of the blue and then change to another row color and do 2 rows and 1 row and 2 rows. You can figure out how you like it to look. If you're using all your stash up, it's going to be up to you where you put your colors. I like to mix them up so we've got some neutrals and some bright colors popping through. So here we've got 1, 2, 3 granny square rows. These are my granny square rows. I'm not counting the double crochet, but 1, 2, 3. So for the extra small, I recommend that you do around 25, 26 granny stitch rows. For the small, 27 granny stitch rows. And for the medium, 28. For the large, 29 granny stitch rows. For the extra large, make 30 granny stitch rows. For the 2 to 5X's, make 31 granny stitch rows or granny stripe rows. Now, this is just a ballpark figure. You should try this on and make sure that it's the right length that you want. So once you've got it to the right length you want, all we have to do is make sure that you've got room to do 1 more row if you want to put the black at the bottom. Sometimes I make this skirt and I just finish with a granny stripe stitch. But with the one that I was demoing in my video, I did do a row of double crochet in black into every stitch around just to bring it together. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that, and then that will be the end of our tutorial. So here we are at the end, and what I actually did was I decided I did half double crochets into each stitch around. So when I got to the end of my last granny stripe stitch row, I slip stitched to join to the top of the chain 3, and then I did that with the black so that I was pulling the black through the slip stitch. Then I chained up 1 and I did a half double crochet into each stitch around. And I like that just because it kind of ties it together with the belt as well. But you don't have to. You can totally end with your granny stripe stitch. Okay? So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I love the way these skirts look. I did 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. You see, you can do it however you want to do it. Okay, I think I might have said I did 1 row of turquoise, but I actually did 2. Sorry about that. Okay, and I hope you enjoy it. I then chained my belt, and to chain the belt you need to chain 140 for extra small, 150 for extra small and small and medium, sorry, 150 for large, 160 for extra large, and chain 180 for the 2X, 3X size, and chain 190 for the 4X, 5X size. So I'm just going to write those details in below for you, but that's kind of what I like to do. So you chain the amount of chains you've been told, so 140 for extra small, and then what I like to do is slip stitch down the chain so it makes it a nice thick belt. And then what you need to do is you weave it in to the second row of double crochet at the top. I like to go in and then go under 2, bring it back over 2, under 2, over 2, all the way around till you get back, and then you can tighten up your belt and you have your skirt. Okay, I hope you enjoy your granny stripe skirt. They're so pretty. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel if you like what I do here. And hit that bell if you want notifications of new videos coming out. Thank you so much. Bye.